Hello neighbors, it's Brad here at eTrailer, and today we're taking a look at the eTrailer SD tow bar on a 2021 Ford Ranger. Now this is going to be available not only for our Blue Ox base plates like we have here, but also your Demco, your CURT, your eTrailer, as well as Roadmaster. Now there's going to be 5 main components when it comes to flat towing a vehicle. First one is going to be the base plate, and that's what actually securely mounts to the frame or bumper support on the vehicle, creating a hookup point for your tow bar. It also has your safety chain loops integrated into it. So that brings me to my next component, which is going to be the tow bar that actually attached to the arms on the base plate and then to the hitch of the RV, making the connection point between the two. And you also have your safety cables here, and that's going to go to the hitch as well as the base plate. And just in case of an accidental disconnect, this is going to keep this attached to the vehicle and making sure it's not rolling down the highway. Now, if something was to catastrophically happen, you do have a breakaway cable, which is part of your supplemental braking system. So that way, when you slow and come to a stop on your RV, it's going to do the same on the vehicle, which is just going to make for a safer towing. Now you also have your umbilical here, which is going to be for your diode wiring, and that's going to transmit the stop, turn, and running light signals from the RV to the towed vehicle, letting people know when you're turning, stopping, or just driving along. Now this SD tow bar is rated at 6,000 pounds, so it should be more than enough for our Ranger that we have here, but also it should be able to kind of accommodate a lot of different weights of vehicles, assuming it stays underneath that 6,000 pounds. Another great thing is the fact that the arms actually spread out quite wide and as wide as you really need. So some base plates, you have the hookup points fairly narrow, some of them get pretty wide, and it kind of limits which tow bar works best for your application. So it's nice that this has the ability to actually spread that out. Now something you might see as well is the fact that there's not a ton of cables all over the place. So some flat tow setups, you have a lot of cables kind of moving around during the whole towing process. Well, this does a really good job of not only having a spot here to put our umbilical here with a nice cotter pin to keep it clean, but you also have these integrated brackets here for your safety cables, which do come with the tow bar. So again, keeping it all nice and clean and just overall not having a ton of wires to deal with when you fold it up. Here we have our release for the arms, and that's because this is a non-binding tow bar, which is really nice. And if you're unsure of what that is some tow bars, when you get to unhook your vehicle, if you're not on level ground, you're actually having to fight to unlock this. It puts it in a binding position, while this one you don't have to worry about that. Even if you're on a slightly on level ground, you're not going to have to hammer this or get any special tools. You just simply push this down and it's going to release that pin, allowing you to draw those arms back. Now this is where you're going to see the difference between the 3 different kits of the SD. Right here we actually have the attachment for our Blue Ox here. So if you were to go to a Roadmaster, that's going to have a different arm attached, and it's going to have the hardware to make sure that you can hook up to the arms. So pretty much just swapping this out to attach to the base plate. But when you are ready to actually unhook it, pretty easy here. We have our pin. Just pull that out. This is all included, so you don't have to worry about getting those to hook this up. We can simply pull that out. We'll take our safety cables off. We will unplug our diode wiring. Put our breakaway cable back on the vehicle here. Unhook this side. Now a nice feature of this tow bar as I unhook it is some other tow bars, these will simply just drop to the ground and they can be pretty heavy. This one actually supports its weight, so you can see it slowly goes down, but you're not going to be dropping this on your foot or anything like that. So now that we have it all not attached, we're going to actually fold this up for you. And there's 3 different ways that it can actually be stored. So the first one here is actually spreading this wide. And you can see the pin here, it's going to lock into this little yellow bracket. And the way we do that, I'm simply going to just raise this up to get our pin kind of underneath that yellow, and then I can slide this over, and then that puts that in place. And then I can simply do the same thing on this side. So this is kind of our split configuration of storage. Now you can also store it to one side by simply just moving this here over. And you have that same yellow pin there. You may have to move this one out of the way, but once you have those in place, you can see it goes to the right side. And then if you want to store it to the left, it's going to be simply as easy as doing that again, just on the other side. So another great part about having these cables actually integrated in here, it's going to kind of keep this from dragging. Now, your umbilical here does not actually come with the tow bar, but if you do end up going with the SD, I highly suggest getting a coiled one. That way you can really utilize that pole for storage as well. And you can kind of just tuck these out of the way here. And there's actually a storage bag that goes over this, and it's going to keep it all protected. So that way, if you keep your tow bar on here throughout the season, it'll actually protect it from the elements and kind of keep everything contained while you're driving. Now, something else, a nice added feature here is your included pin and clip. So that way you can actually attach this into your hitch. There's also 2 different mounting points, so you have a 2-inch difference. That way, if you want to extend it out a little bit or tuck it a little bit cleaner, depending on the back of your RV, you'll have that customized, length or how far it extends. Another nice thing is this can actually serve as a rise or a drop. So sometimes, depending on the height difference between the hitch on your RV and the base plate attachment on your vehicle, you do have to get a high-low adapter to account for the difference. You want to keep it within a 3-inch range, and this allows you to just get a little bit fine-tuned adjustment, just a little bit here. That way you might actually be able to eliminate having to get a high-low adapter depending on your application. And that was a look at the eTrailer SD tow bar on a 2021 Ford Ranger.